Hey everybody, Chris here, and just a quick disclaimer for you. So, since we have people traveling this week, Obert had some issues with his audio quality, so please bear with us this week, and we'll be back to normal audio quality next week. Enjoy episode 17. Hey folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Chris.
What up, it's Todd.
And I'm Obert.
And now that you are in between two major holidays, I guess, you're like right in that lull point.
Right when you need a new podcast to listen to.
Right, exactly. It's like the perfect way to both end and start your new year.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Yeah. Good time to think about your New Year resolution.
Yeah, if your New Year resolution is to never miss a new Drinking Alone with Friends, then it's a perfect way to start.
Bingo.
But I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and a future holiday to be had next week. But
as one says,
as it said, but
is that how that goes? Is that the
saying?
I think
so. I think that's how it is.
That's what they always say when you go to the store between Christmas and New Year's. Hope you get a good holiday and a good future holiday in the future.
Nice. I didn't. You know what? Through 30 years, I had no idea how to say that, but now I do.
Yeah, I mean, all it took was me and my worldliness, and I was able to enlighten you on some.
And you're good at wordness.
Like good at wordedness.
Me good at wordedness.
Me do good words. Oh man! But so the fun thing going to be happening soon. Tud's going to actually be moving down south, coming to Tennessee
for a good 4 days.
For 4 days.
That's what he thinks. He doesn't know he's never going back to Connecticut.
Listen, if there was a way for me to move down to Tennessee and not move back, I'd do it. But
you heard it here first, folks.
So far, there ain't no way for me to do that.
Oh, sure there is. You just do it. Just do it.
Just throw caution to the wind and just say screw it.
Yeah. Just whatever. Just do it. So.
What? Just be like Nike?
No, just do it. Not Nike. Just do it.
So, Ty, what are you excited about for your visit to Clarksville?
Well, I mean, I'm excited because it'll be the third official time that I've been in Tennessee. Obviously, the first time was when we moved Chris. The second time was when I went down in June. This is the first time Caitlin's going to be coming along, so she'll be able to experience Nashville, and she's said to me multiple times how she wants to go see Nashville. And we get to go see my other friend Grady as well during this time. I think it'll be fun overall. I think that, every time I go to Nashville or Clarksville, I seem to get more familiar with the place. And I'm just excited to just go back down again. And I get to see CJ, which is probably the coolest little person I know.
He's pretty sweet.
He is. So... I'm just excited overall for the entire trip. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be a ton of fun. I'm pretty excited for it too, obviously. And of course, you guys will be here for CJ's first birthday, which is pretty cool.
Right.
That's exciting.
And, hashtag be on the lookout for cool gifts that we're sending him. And
that's not a hashtag.
Hashtag Bolo.
Sorry, you went over the character limit on hashtags.
No. I have 240 characters for a hashtag, according to Twitter.
Is that real?
Oh, I think Chris had it right with Bolo.
Yeah.
Bolo. Okay. Well, I like Bolo.
Be on the lookout. I said that at work the other day, and one of my coaches was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, that's what the kids say.
Yeah, maybe I'm old, but that's the first time I've ever heard of this.
Yeah, no. I swore that's what the kids say, but then the kid told me that no, that's not.
No, that's a Chris thing. That's not a young people thing.
I can safely say I've never heard of Bolo. As the youngest of the three of us here, Bolo does not exist.
Be on lookout. Wait. You aren't the youngest.
The true sign of a young person is when they have to claim that they are illegitimately the youngest. That's how you know someone's actually young, when they're trying to prove how
I was
young
hoping
they
to
are.
scoot that by the youngest on the pod.
Yeah.
So. He caught that real quick, except for the oldest person on the pod caught it. So
Yeah, yeah, right. Because I'm so wise.
Oh, yeah, of course.
My wizened in my ears.
We call that sage-like.
Yeah, exactly. Sage-like wisdom. Oh man, but that'll be fun. But Obert, what have you been up to? Skiing? Something along those lines?
No, I've been flying to New Jersey.
Not getting that money out of that ski trip, that ski pass.
Yeah, so I've been doing some flying lately. Came out of Montana. My winter hibernation. Flew out to visit my family in Philadelphia, or outside of Philadelphia in New Jersey. Actually, yesterday we went into the city. We went to a really cool speakeasy called the Laundromat, and all it is it looks like just like a regular steel door you would see leading up to some apartments, where you hit the buzzer to get let in. There's no sign out front or anything. So you hit the buzzer, some Chinese guy comes out, and I think he's the owner. And he's like, okay, because you're in Chinatown too. So he comes out and he's like, okay, and you see everybody's ID, and then he takes your ID and goes inside for a minute, and then he comes back out. And he's like, okay, you step inside to like a kind of an intermediate room. It's like, all right, there's two rules: no pictures at all, which is why we don't have anything to share for the Instagram, and no talking on your phones. And then he's like, okay, if you break those rules, you're kicked out immediately. If not, all right, come inside. And then you turn around a corner and you go into this really cool looking bar area. And they had a bunch of really neat cocktails, which were a lot of fun. I had...
So wait, hang on. Does that, by the conversation of no talking on your phone, does that mean that you can't text on your phone either?
Texting is allowed.
Okay.
But no...
Like you can't like accept like a business call in the middle of the bar.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was just like totally, I don't even know how my brother-in-law Justin found this place. I think it was just word of mouth, because there's nothing on their website or anything. It's really hard to find. But I probably shouldn't even be telling you the name on this podcast. Oops. Oh well. Now you guys know. If you go to Philadelphia and you look up the Laundromat, you can go check out this cool speakeasy.
Yeah, at least it's like a really specific name, so you can probably find it really easily
right,
just by typing it into Google Maps. You know?
Laundromat, Philadelphia. You get there.
Right.
Yelp brings up 1,362 results.
Well, better start knocking.
Yeah,
that's cool. Is this the second speakeasy you've been to, or am I making that up?
Maybe. I mean, the first place that you could consider a speakeasy, the one I went to in Olympia, wasn't really a speakeasy. It was just like a kind of a cool underground bar.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That was the one with the weird music, right?
Yeah, weird music and like weird satanic statues.
Yeah.
But after we left the Laundromat, we did go to a brewery because, when I'm in a new city, I gotta check out the new breweries. And I went to, I think it was called Love City, City of Brotherly Love, Love City Brewing.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I know.
Very
fancy.
It
was pretty cool. First brewery I've ever been to that had food trucks inside of it. They were like in the back, which was a little weird.
Like drove like the trucks into the brewery?
Yeah, I didn't really go and check them out, but it just smelled like French fries in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's
that's
not a bad way for a brewery to smell.
Yeah, and we shared a picture on the Instagram. I had a pint of the Resilience IPA.
Yeah. First one to find it.
Yeah, previously featured. I was really excited when I saw their menu. I knew immediately that was what I had to try drinking because we had talked about it on the pod, and it was, it was a good IPA. It didn't blow me away. There's nothing special about it, but I would drink it again. I would definitely have more of it. But if you guys haven't found it yet, you gotta seek it out. Try some of that Resilience to support the wildfire relief.
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't. So truthfully, I haven't been to a package store in a while, nor have I been to like a brewery in a minute. So I'm excited to get to a brewery that's brewed it and try something new or try it.
Yeah, I have yet to see it either. I've been to a few breweries, unlike Chris. few package stores, and I still haven't seen it. So keep my eyes open. But once I see it for the first time, I definitely will try it, and we can all report back as a group what we thought of it once we finally have it.
Yeah, there's actually a site that friend of the podcast, Jenna, sent me on Instagram, and it's a site that you can go in and actually it takes your coordinates or your GPS location, and it'll tell you nearby breweries or package stores to find it. So I can send that. We'll link it in the show notes, and you can take a peek at that. But it's pretty neat thing that's there. So
that's cool. So
that's pretty cool.
No co-hosts nor guests nor friends of the pod have any excuses once we link that.
Right.
In the show notes.
And even Natalie, you can use it too because it's going to a good cause.
Right.
Yeah. Enemy of the pod.
Oh man.
So yeah, I've been doing my share of drinking since I've come on this Christmas trip. How about you guys?
I've been to one brewery. Obviously, I've been to Fox Farm since we last talked. We go every Friday night. Other than that, no. We had an ugly sweater party to go to on Saturday, and then pretty much today have done nothing. We've been pretty much just preparing for the holiday, and then knowing that we're leaving the day after the holiday. So we really haven't felt the need to go anywhere and gather massive quantities of alcohol.
That's good. And did you stop at Fox Farm for your featured beer for today?
I may have. You'll have to find out.
That might have been my lead-in.
Oh,
yeah. Let's find out.
Yeah. So yes. So in fact, I have, and just to encroach on territory here.
Oh boy!
Come on, it's been so long. You've been so good recently. I thought I wasn't gonna have to, sue you for everything you own, but guess I'm gonna have to. Again.
I hope that...
We got to make Oren earn his money.
Yeah, exactly. He was getting bored. Is he up there? Nope, he's not up there.
The beer I'm going to review today is called Double Burst by, surprise, surprise, Fox Farm Brewery out of Salem, Connecticut. It is their double version of Burst. And if anybody has monitored the Twitter, I actually called out Fox Farm midweek to say that I was going to be reviewing this. So I know Fox Farm is anxiously awaiting to hear my review as well.
Well, yeah, you're like the Roger and Ebert of beer reviews. If you don't say it's good, then people aren't going to go and buy it.
Right.
Unfortunately for them, I only have one thumb.
Yeah, I saw that they were releasing this online, and I was pretty jealous, not going to lie, because, I love Burst, and I can only imagine what two times Burst is going to be like.
Yeah, so this beer it's very bitter.
Okay.
Unlike most double IPAs that you're going to get in New England, this is more along the traditional style, but it's slightly more hazy. Definitely a little bit more bitter than you would expect out of a New England double IPA. A lot of fruit on it too, a lot of orange, maybe some star fruit, I guess, if I had to guess the other fruit. Overall, a very solid drinker. Fox Farm is not known for doing double IPAs. They kind of shy away from it. And I think it's because they just brew their IPAs a little bit differently than most breweries in Connecticut or New England.
Now, what do you mean by differently?
So when you have a double IPA in New England, they tend to be a lot more smooth, fruit forwardness and they try to take the bitterness out.
Yeah.
With Fox Farm,
that's fair.
They leave that hop bitterness
into their single IPAs.
Into their double IPAs.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you drink the Double Burst, the first thing you get when you're done taking the sip is, wow, there's a lot of bitterness. And that's not the case with a Treehouse or a Trillium, where you're kind of like
a New England style double IPA.
Correct.
Right.
Even though it's extremely hazy for a double IPA in general.
So would you say you get more piney notes than fruit notes?
No, and that's the weird thing, is that I get a lot of fruit, like I said, a lot of orange, a lot of grapefruit, but there's not a lot of pine, but it is very bitter.
Interesting.
Which to me makes it a very good beer, but it's just something different, which is what I come to expect from Fox Farm, is that they're going to do things differently, but very good.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say to them. And was there a long line when you went for the release day on Friday?
No, it was completely empty.
Oh. You know what?
That's
I think it must be
Wow,
this time of
that's
year.
weird.
People are busy with Christmas shopping and have other stuff to do on the last Friday before the holidays. So maybe that was explain some of the deadness. Bottom line, Todd, on a scale of 0 to 5 to 5.
I'd give this beer probably a 4.5.
Wow, that's very.
That's pretty
I
high.
think that was more than I was expecting you to rate them.
I was like in my mind, I mentally rated this beer 4.5. So
So, Chris, you haven't had this beer?
no, I haven't. I haven't had double burst. I've had regular burst.
Oh, I was under the impression that this was the first time they came out with Double Burst. No, this was one of their many times they released it.
Well, they've released it one other time this year, and I struggle to remember whether Chris or yourself were still living in Connecticut when it came out, and so I didn't know whether or not you guys had it before. But I know it's the first time it's been on the pod. So
So, Chris, what are you drinking tonight?
So I'm actually following suit with a New England IPA, double IPA. So we can test Tud's theory about the bitterness not coming through on double IPAs right now.
there we go.
See? And I'm actually drinking. Woo!
I gotta tell you, I think mine sounded better.
It did not. I heard them both in my headphones. But so I'm
Way to
drinking.
leave us in suspense here.
I know, right? I'm drinking the Mage from Relic Brewing Company.
Oh, I have one of those in my fridge.
Yeah, I was looking and I was like, oh, I like playing a mage in most role playing games. So I was like, maybe I'll give this a shot. Plus, it's a pretty cool can. I like it. Anyways, Tud, I know you've been to Relic more often than I have, and Obert speaking as well. If you've been there, but what? Tell us a little bit about Relic Brewing Company.
Okay, so Relic is they are pretty much the jack of all IPA type brewery in Connecticut. They come out with a different IPA pretty much it seems every single week. That for a while they were the type of brewery that brewed one type of they brewed one IPA and then wouldn't ever brew it again. And over time they've kind of adopted their best types and have rebrewed them. But it's basically a tiny little shack in the middle of Plainville where you just basically walk in. The guy has 150 different types of whiskeys on the wall that you can drink on
Wow.
top of all his beer. Yeah. You can buy any of his beers literally right there in his room. Solid overall. They don't garner a lot of attention in Connecticut or New England in general, even though they may put out some of the most consistent and best styles of IPAs.
Now, they didn't make it onto Todd's Magical Mystery Brewery Tour, did they?
Correct. They were unfortunately they could not make the cut. They were an honorable mention.
I remember that. They were on the honorable mention list.
The reason they did not make the cut is because they didn't fit into the circle that
Yeah,
we were trying to
Plainville
go
was
for.
just too far out of the way for our tour.
Correct. Had we have just been going with probably my 10 favorite breweries in Connecticut, they would have been up there because they're just so consistent and good and awesome. I do recommend anybody who is looking to go to a brewery in Connecticut to experience the most abundant type of New England style IPA to go to Relic, because that is the place you're going to have the best New England style IPA experience.
Wow. So after that lengthy description, Chris, why don't you tell us about the beer?
Yeah, this beer is awesome. You can definitely tell that it's brewed by a brewery that specializes in IPAs, I guess to say. Now,
Very much so.
Tud, I do get a lot of fruit. I get a lot of like the grapefruit orange, that kind of thing. But I do also get quite a bit of bitterness on this. So I don't know if this just followed through with your Fox Farm theory, but it is a very, very good beer. I'm a big, big fan of it. And it's fitting because, spellcasters are awesome.
So hashtag fun fact about Relic is if you go and on their website, they will in fact proudly endorse that they've never fully produced a quote unquote New England style IPA, because they don't brew it in the traditional quote unquote New England style. So you're gonna get a lot of bitterness because of that.
And what would make it the traditional if they added more hops later in dry hopping? Or
I think so. New England styles, they're no filtered, but at the same time, yeah, they're late stage dry hopped, and the guy who owns Relic will in fact brew more traditional style IPAs versus dry hopping and that type of stuff. But his IPAs are fantastic. Every single one of them is just mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, and this one falls right in line. So, I mean, it looks a hell of a lot like a New England IPA, and it tastes a lot like New England IPAs. So, but it is really, really good. It's 8% alcohol. Unfortunately, it's a little 12-ounce can, a little baby can. But
that's another one of their calling cards. Is they brew maybe 2 or 3 beers in 16-ounce cans, and the rest are six-pack 12-ounce cans.
Okay, that's interesting. I do see that they contract can out of Thomas Hooker, which was interesting. Didn't know that. That's pretty cool. But really awesome beer. I'm pretty excited that this was another one that came in that beer trade from a couple weeks ago. So I'm excited that Brienne sent this down. Really good. Really, I mean, I'm gonna destroy this thing right now, and I would say I don't know if I can quite give it a 4.5, but I'll give it a solid 4.25 out of 5.
That's pretty good ranking for a not quite New England style IPA.
But Obert, you've listened to us talk about our beers.
Yeah, I'm getting a little parched over here.
I know, your turn.
Yeah. So actually this week I'm breaking with our long-standing titular tradition. And I'm not drinking alone with friends. I split this beer with my brother-in-law Justin and my dad. We divvied it up before. I know.
Yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to talk on this podcast now. Mute. We have a mute button around here.
Yeah. Hold on. Just boop beep boop beep boop boop boop. Oh.
Yeah. So again, breaking with tradition, but it's here. It's the holidays. I'm in New Jersey with my sister and her family, and my parents are down recording in the downstairs bedroom here. But yeah, my dad picked up a special treat from the Total Wine. We have a Trappist beer tonight. We have the Chimay Grand Reserve, the Blue Label Chimay Belgian style ale. Yeah, and because it's it even says on the label to pour it in a wide mouth glass, so I have it in a coupe glass tonight. It's a solid dark amber hue, really strong Belgian. Very, when you think of Belgian beer, this is the prime example of what you're going to imagine. Yeah. So while I give this beer a sample, have you guys ever had Trappist beers before, and what do you think of them?
I've had one Trappist beer in my life, and I thought it was really good. I honestly thought it was the brewery that was Trappist, and so I probably didn't realize that it's a style of beer. But I did think it was good. How about you, Chris?
I haven't, and this might be unpopular opinion, but I'm not a big fan of Belgian beers. So if I were to see something that was advertised as a Belgian style beer, I probably would avoid it, just because I know myself. I don't really care for them that much.
Wow, I really want to get into that, but before, I want to just tell you quickly about how this beer tastes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's a very good traditional, you get those strong wild yeast notes. You get that kind of raisiny sweetness with that sour. I was going to say, do you get a lot of plum? Yeah, you get the plum notes. And again, you get that strain of wild sour flavor. And I just can't believe, Chris, that we have gotten 17 episodes into this podcast before learning that you are not a fan of Belgian beers.
I'd like to say that I'd like to join on the Chris train here. It's not my thing either. I can appreciate them for what they are, but they tend to be a little too. Boozy is not the right word. I think it's plum.
No, this is a boozy beer. This one clocks in here at 9% alcohol.
Yeah, it's the plum combined with like the dark currants and the basically just the only way I can describe it is plum. And I know I'm misscribing that. But it's just something that just it's too dark, but not dark enough. If that makes any sense.
No, but sure.
I don't know. For some reason, and I don't know. I can't really explain it. I think it's the malt that they use, or some kind of that thing is what gets me, because I don't know. It's just something about it's like almost a weird aftertaste that I'm not crazy about, and it's like every I could smell a Belgian from a glass away, and I'm like, well, not gonna like this beer. So
I think I gotta stand up for our listeners here and say, because I'm sure there's some listeners.
Do we know if a lot of our listeners like
I'm sure
this
there's some
type of
listeners out there that are shaking their heads as they listen to this podcast right now, but I'm sad that I've done a disservice to them and haven't brought a Belgian on the pod before, because I'm a big Belgian fan, and I think it is definitely an acquired taste. I think it's not something that you're gonna really start your beer career with. I think it's something that you kind of have to grow to enjoy. But I just wanted to share a little bit with you guys in maybe a bit of a Hoppy Hour segment here. Some of what...
Ooh,
yeah.
Been a while since we've done that.
Unplanned Hoppy Hour.
Yeah. Some of what a Trappist beer is, because it is a very distinctive style, and it's quite the honorific for a brewery to be a Trappist brewery.
Do they have to qualify?
Yes. And actually there was a lawsuit with people illegitimately using the Trappist name, because all Trappist beers are brewed by Trappist monks in monasteries, and they're a religious order, and they believe that to make money for their monastery by producing a good that's useful in the world, like beer or cheese or another something that you can sell to people that they can make use of and enjoy. So that's part of being a Trappist monk, is you have to produce something.
Holy crap. That's really cool.
When you play a drunken monk in like D&D or video games, are they drunk because they're Trappist monks and they drink beer? Like, is that how that works? Or
I mean, I can't confirm if I think a lot of times like the drunken monk will be like a Buddhist monk, but the Trappist monks, they have a very interesting code of conduct. And like I said, there's 11 Trappist breweries in the world, and a lot of them are in Belgium. There's some that are in Germany. I think I read there was one in Massachusetts.
Treehouse.
they can't help but talk about them on the podcast.
Right.
Yeah, but as a Trappist monk, they follow a very strict religious code, and while they don't take a vow of silence like is commonly believed, they believe that they should only speak the words that are necessary to be spoken. So they talk as minimally as possible, and like during their meals they don't talk at all, and they don't eat anything that has four legs. Like they'll eat some seafood apparently, but other than that they're mostly vegetarian. And they kind of pursue a life of perfecting their beer. So that's why it's such a world-renowned beer. And like I said, this is from Chimay Brewery, which is probably one of the most famous Trappist breweries. And if you've seen Trappist beers before, there's a good chance that's from them. I would love to get a chance to go over to Belgium and check this brewery out. And you can see pictures online, and it's in an old monastery is where they get all the water from. It's a really cool place.
So just for the listener's perspective, I did a quick Google search, and the brewery that Obert referred to in Massachusetts is St. Joseph's Abbey, which is in Spencer, Massachusetts. And I haven't gotten into the whole Wikipedia article, but the brewery is either referred to as St. Joseph's Abbey or Spencer Brewery. Personally, drank a lot of beer in New England, never heard of this place, but after this conversation, I will seek them out to try to bring them to the pod.
Yeah,
neat.
Yeah, and they've been around since 2013, whereas the Chimay has been around since 1863. So,
holy shit! Wow.
Yeah, you can see how they've become so renowned is that they have literally centuries of brewing behind them.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I didn't know literally any of that. So
yeah. So and like I said, when we post the picture, you might recognize the label. It's kind of got a couple fleur de lis. It looks like very European style. And next time you see them in the liquor store, now you'll know a little bit behind the story of the whole brewery and the devotion of these monks to making the perfect beer that they can, and how it's like they find it their mission in life to brew the best beer they can.
Is that all Chimay brews is Trappist style?
Yes, and they have a couple of different, like the one I'm drinking is the Blue Label, and they produce, I believe, 4 different styles of beer. They have the Blue, also known as the Grand Reserve. It's described as a copper brown beer with a light creamy head and a slightly bitter taste. It's considered to be the classic Chimay ale and exhibits considerable depth of fruity, peppery character. I would call that like the most traditional Belgian style beer that they have. They also have a red, which is kind of like a double or a doppel, and it's more of a sweeter beer. They have the triple, which is in a golden label.
Triple, right?
Yes, the label is the Chimay Triple, TRIPLE, but it is a Tripel style, TRIPEL. I know it's a little confusing, but it's definitely the hoppiest and driest of those 3 beers. And then they also have a Chimay Doreen, which is a golden beer, you can only available at the Abbey where they brew the beer. So let me end Hoppy Hour there and say, Chimay, check them out. And now that I know I'm the only Belgian fan on the podcast, I'll have to feature more of them. Belgians and tequila, the two things I'll have to bring to the podcast to complete our triad of alcohol loving.
Right. Yep, there you go. That's what you got to do.
So Tud, I heard that there was some follow-up news that we had to discuss.
Yeah, so we're not going to play What's in the News. Unfortunately, we're going to bring that back
what
probably
game
next
is that?
Week. What is the news?
Oh, that game. Okay, all right.
We'll probably bring that back next week, but I did have a news segment follow-up that I wanted to bring to the pod because I know it was a big success the first time we brought it around. So I think around episode 6 or 7 or 8, we had talked about the fact that there was this woman who was dating a ghost.
She was engaged to a ghost, right?
She was engaged to a ghost, correct. So I have news to report that they did in fact get married. Okay. But as of this past week, the woman and the ghost are now separated.
Oh,
no.
That's bad news.
And have gotten a divorce.
Oh, no. Wow.
Now, I know that this sounds completely made up and full of bullshit, but this is a real story that apparently this woman and her 300-year-old ghost husband have now officially been separated and are divorced.
I gotta say, how bad of a wife do you have to be where if your husband can totally disapparate and leave you, and yet still that's not enough space. The ether is not a far enough distance away where he's like, you know what, I can't. This is still too much.
You know what? Even though I could leave you forever, legally being married to you is painful enough.
Yeah. I feel the pull across the ether of your nag.
Oh, man. I really thought they were going to make it.
I know. I feel bad for that woman. She couldn't even find love in the afterlife.
Well, I guess here's the question. Who do you feel worse for? Her or the ghost?
That's a good point.
I think it's got to be her because she's got to continue with the rest of her life to know that she could not only could she not keep a human husband, but she could not keep an ethereal husband either.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine being the ghost though? Like you go to your ghost hunting lodge and you're talking about how you nabbed this hot biddy who's still alive,
in the flesh,
In the flesh, yeah, and you're talking her up, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Sorry, boys, back to Boozeville for me."
Which is what ghosts call the ghost dating scene.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine his response? He's probably like, "I couldn't get any sleep when I was dating her. Now I can finally get some eternal rest."
Maybe that was it. Maybe that finally released his spirit to pass through this mortal world.
His last thing holding him to the earth was to break a young woman's heart. So that was it.
I just am really curious what that counseling session was like. Was it like it was? I'm imagining it was, the wife, the marriage counselor, and a Ouija board. It just kept going back to the no spot.
Greg,
half. I want half.
Greg the ghost. Do you still love Linda?
The planchette just keeps going towards goodbye.
Oh, well, that's heartbreaking stuff. I really,
It is, but at the same time, it's also great news for the pod because it's just good content. I mean, anytime we can talk about somebody divorcing a ghost, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
So one out of one so far. Yeah. Every time. Oh man, that's funny. So I do have a quick news article too, and maybe
will you share with us, Chris? What is the news?
Yes. So Dana sent me a article about a brewing company up in Alaska that only serves in half or full pours. They are anti-flights. They're like, you know what? We have a bunch of beers on tap. We want you to choose one, and we want you to stick to it, and be okay with the fact that you're not going to be able to try all the beers. That's
unless
like
you're
the
really motivated.
Right. unless you have a lot of time or a very strong liver, I guess. Yeah, so that's like their official stance. They've been around for like 9 years, and that they've never served flights, never will. So I wanted to ask what your guys' thoughts were on that.
I gotta say, I'm not upset with it. I think there are breweries in Connecticut, I can think of a few, to not name any by name, that don't do flights and they only do pours and half pours.
Does it rhyme with box barn?
It might rhyme with box barn. They only do pours and half pours, but I can also think that there's another one down in Haddam that only does pours and half pours as well. And I think it's just the wave of the future. I mean, if you think about it from a flight standpoint, I mean, you're charging $10 for maybe 4 or 5 beers, maybe $10, $12, versus you could charge $4 to $5 per half pour. Why would you do the flight?
And I think there's something to be said about, there's been plenty of beers I've had where maybe in the first couple sips I didn't really fully appreciate it, but as I drink more of the beer and as it warms up and I fully get it all over my palate, I really start to appreciate it. I could see that being a good choice. I don't know if it's particularly. I'm glad we're talking about it because it's a good topic of discussion. But I don't see that being a particularly groundbreaking or newsworthy thing. Like if that was all it took to get your brewery famous, I would start a brewery that would only poured like 18-ounce beers and be like, oh, you gotta come here. You could get beers in 15 ounces, 18 ounces, or 0.623 liters. That's it.
Yeah, we're not doing any of those wussy 12-ounce pours.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I mean, the more we're talking about it, is like, okay, yeah, you do get different flavors as the beer warms up, but I don't know. I'm very much a flight person. Like, if I go to a brewery with like 15 to 20 beers on tap, I want to get a couple flights and
Well, I mean,
try them all.
Chris and Ted, both of you have the same MO, and that is you got to check them in. That's you got to try as many beers as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I do try new beers no matter where I go. So, and yeah, I don't know. I like trying all the different styles, all the different types, and even though sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gonna have 4 IPAs, I guess, but I don't know. I just I really enjoy the flights. I think I'm not gonna say that it's a deal breaker. Like if I go to a brewery and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't do flights, I'm not gonna be like, oh well, I'm leaving.
Goodbye.
But yeah, bye.
I tend to agree with the breweries. I think that their job is to make the most money possible, and if they can make more money doing half pours and full pours,
See, I don't think that's
more
their
power
job.
to them.
I think their job is to make your beer experience as enjoyable as possible.
Yeah, I don't think it's a money pull thing. I think it's just they're like, hey, you make a decision, you stick with it. All our beers are good. I think that's their motto versus the, oh, I can make an extra 50 cents off of this versus, I don't know.
And if their beer is good, more power to them that they can force people to buy half pours. Or if they're that confident in their brewing ability to offer half pours and not do flights, cheers to them.
Which, I mean, next time I'm in Alaska, I'll have to check them out.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever been there.
Now, where is this brewery?
It is in Alaska. I don't know exactly where.
Yeah, one of the larger states.
Yeah, definitely.
Top one. It's definitely in the top one of larger states.
Yeah, the big one. That's what we call Alaska down here. The big one.
Yeah.
So it's about that time of the pod where we want to transition and raise our frosty mug of wisdom and our handles, and give out a tip or trick for life. And given that this is the last pod before the new year, we thought that we'd bring in a little bit of a theme of things that we've learned over the past year or things that we hope to achieve over the next year. And with that, I'm going to lead it off with
Obert. All right.
Obert.
Yeah. I'm going to say this is going to be a less traditional handle hoisting for me this week. 2018 was a big year for me, probably the biggest change of any year I've had in my whole life. And, I'm really thankful for this podcast and to be able to talk with you guys every week about beer and alcohol and drinking alone with friends. And
here.
I got to say, one thing that I learned in 2018 that I want to carry forward into 2019 is, just how important it is to stay in touch with your friends. So my handle for this week, for all you listeners out there, if there's, a friend who you didn't talk to that much in 2018, you should reach out, say hi, wish them a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm sure they'd be glad that you did. So my handle on the Frosty Mug Wisdom this week is go talk to somebody who you haven't talked to. You've neglected your relationship with them. That's my what's that radio DJ? What's her name? Delilah. That's my Delilah handle for the week. So sorry to be a little sappy, but
do you have a friend in particular that you're thinking of as you're saying this?
No, you know what? It's really just having talked to you guys so much for the last couple, the last 17 weeks. It's really made me appreciate, having you guys as friends. So this is, I'm raising the mug to you guys as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So with that, I want to hand off the mug to the guy who came into 2018 with a newborn baby and now leaves with a toddler.
Yeah, and that eats me up saying that he's a toddler now. So yeah, another sappy one here is I learned how to be a dad over the last year, and I mean, I tell you what, you hear it from everybody, and
I tell you what,
I've heard that's really easy, right? Just being a dad.
Yeah. Everybody tells you it's not the same. You have no idea what it's like to be a parent until you're a parent. You can't imagine anything and all this stuff. And man, it's just all true. Like, it's hard it's hard all the time, but especially at first, it's hard. Like, you don't know what the kid wants, and the kid doesn't sleep, but you love him anyway. And then like I don't know, just seeing him grow and seeing CJ, he's like my favorite part of every day. Like, and yeah, just learning how to be a dad. It's crazy, and it turns out I'm pretty good at it. And I wouldn't trade
Not to
it.
toot your own horn or anything, right?
No, that kid loves me. So, but I mean, it's something that I wouldn't trade for anything in the entire world. And it's that I know that's the sappiest one that's ever going to be, but I love my son so very much, and he doesn't even quite understand how much he means to me yet. So, but yeah, being a dad was definitely the biggest thing that happened to me, and learning how to be a dad was the biggest thing that happened to me in 2018. So here, going to continue learning in 2019. But yeah, that's mine. That's my my recollection on 2018. So Tud, what do you got? What's next?
So I'm going to take this a little bit opposite of both of you guys, apparently, because you guys both talked about the prior year, and I'm going to talk about the year going forward.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad we saved you for last.
Exactly. So 2019 is going to be a big year for myself. I'm getting married in July, so that's a huge...
Yay!
Yeah, so that's a huge thing in my life coming up in this new year. But at the same time, we've also been looking at houses and looking at where we want to build our life going forward for at least the next few years.
Tennessee,
wherever the chips happen to fall. Maybe Montana chasing fucking grizzly bears down. So here's to 2019. 2018 was a great year for me. 2017 was a really shitty year, just based on family issues. I think that 2019 is going to be an even better year, and I'm just going to raise my glass to 2019 and cheers, and here we go.
Here. I mean, let's all we can all hoist our mug to that. All three handles at once too. 2019 being a great year going forward for three of us, the podcast, all of our listeners. Let's all cheers to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I will say, 2018 sucked a little bit because I had both of you guys move away. But at the same time, we started this awesome pod, and how can you go wrong with that, too?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I know Obert touched on it, but this podcast has been really, really awesome. And I'm glad that people get a kick out of listening to it because, it's a lot of fun to do, and I get to talk to two of my best friends in the entire world every week, which is, we probably talk more now than we did when we lived in the same state.
That's also true.
A good point. Yeah,
but it's been a lot of fun. So I've really enjoyed it. So,
and with that, thank everybody for listening. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas for anybody who's listening in past this point. I'd like to thank Fox Farm Brewery for providing me with Double Burst.
I'd like to thank Relic Brewing for the Mage.
And I want to thank the Trappist monks out of Chimay for their Grand Reserve Blue Label Trappist beer.
I'd like to invite everybody to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and Untapped at DAWF Podcast. Just a quick update.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to announce, as you all know, we have been running a contest to reach 500 Instagram followers. We, over the past week, have hit that mark.
Woo! Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, so we finally hit 500 followers, and we are going to do a little bit of a giveaway. So, with the holidays, just keep an eye on the Instagram. We're going to have rules and how to gain entry into winning some pretty cool stuff. So make sure you keep an eye out, and thank you so much for following us, and continue to tell your friends because, thanks to you guys, people start to listen more and all of that fun stuff. And that's what helps us be able to do this podcast. So continue sharing, continue following, and, let everybody know.
And also I'd like to take this moment in time to announce that we also are going to start a new contest of reaching just 200 followers on Twitter.
Just 200? Come on, we could do
just
better
200.
than that. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers, but we got to get there. At DAWF Podcast on Twitter, please make sure you follow that. Once we reach 200 followers, we're going to give away a really cool prize as well. Just kind of trying to butt up on this 500 Instagram follower type thing. Make sure you guys hashtag follow the email at dawfpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're sending your comments, questions, general thoughts, concerns. As always, send your hatred there too. We'll make sure we click the trash can icon on that and delete that. Make sure you're also emailing us about wanting stickers, because we have a whole bunch of them. By the way, everybody who's listening to this and also is getting a Christmas present from me this year, you're all getting a sticker for Christmas.
And by the way, we're going to sell your address to the Mormon vampires. That's who we're selling.
The Mormon vampires
to.
are definitely coming to your house. Just like they came to Chris's house last week at 2 a.m.
addresses.
They're coming to your house at 3 a.m. this week.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm Tud.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends.
So do you guys not have any cool New Year's resolutions?
I worry about that usually December 31st at around 11:45-ish.
Yeah.
When I figure out my resolution for the next